I was scanning through a certain social media site the other day.
Can you tell me which one? You don't have to.
I don't know if I can.
You don't have to.
But anyway, I was scrolling through and looking at various things, and one of my friends on there had posted this really amazing picture of a bunch of geese, like close range. Like she could, you could see the lines and the feathers, and just it was really awesome, right? And she pointed out in a little caption, "Geese have tongues." I didn't even know that either. You would think we would know that, right?
Yeah, but then you're like, have I ever seen it?
Have I? Well, for one, I'm never going to get close enough to a goose.
So they had like high resolution, high def camera, or
yeah, you could see it if you look closely at
not
it.
like ours.
No, and she takes a lot of really beautiful nature pictures, and but I was like, wow, and you could actually, if you zoomed up, you could actually see the goose's tongue sticking out. I was like, wow, and I think they were probably Canadian geese, but anyway, it was just the weirdest thing. And I was like, wow, I mean, I know I have a tongue, but I didn't know any geese had tongues, but it kind of makes sense.
What do they eat?
Food.
Geese.
I don't know.
Food.
Bugs.
They'll eat food.
I'm not a bird expert.
Well, you know when you go to the park and you feed
the
ducks?
The ducks like breadcrumbs and anything else. You know, chickens will eat everything except for... Actually, no, they'll eat chicken too. Chicken scraps. I found that out. Anyway.
Do they eat bologna?
I don't know.
How do you pronounce bologna?
Bologna.
Like I said, or bologna?
I know. I've said that too. My sister does that sometimes. She'll say bologna because she thinks it's fun to say.
Do you know how to spell it?
Yes.
Spell it.
Bologna.
Isn't there a song?
Yeah, it was Oscar Mayer.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, that was funny.
So, bologna.
Yes.
Do you like bologna?
I mean, I haven't eaten it in years, so
No, I stopped eating it years ago. What I like to have is lunch meat. Lunch meat.
Yeah.
One animal, just turkey. Just chicken.
Yeah.
Roast beef. Comes from roast beef. But
wait, turkey comes from roast beef?
Roast beef comes from the animal roast beef.
Okay, I wasn't listening.
Comes from the animal roast beef.
Okay,
right?
Sure, yeah.
Anyway.
We really don't know
You're getting
our
me
animals.
off topic here.
I'm getting you off topic?
So,
seriously.
what I wanted to say is, speaking of bologna.
Okay.
You heard that phrase, sticks and stones?
I've also heard the phrase, "you're full of baloney."
Okay. You're getting ahead of yourself here.
No, I didn't come up. I'm getting ahead of you, you mean?
You're getting ahead of myself.
Sorry.
You're getting ahead of myself.
Okay. Wow.
Sticks and stones may... How does it go?
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me.
That's a lie.
I know.
Words may never hurt me. That's a worldly saying.
Yeah.
Right? That little phrase. Because a lot of people say that. I've probably said that lots of times. I've also said the one, whatever you say, or I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. You ever heard that?
Yes, but I've never used it.
And
that's old school.
Sometimes you believe that. You believe that. Like, basically what you're saying is it just bounces right off me. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
The same with the sticks and stones. It doesn't affect me. That's a big lie. A lot of people say that, but...
How big is it, dear?
Come on, be truthful with yourself. Words do hurt.
Yeah, they do.
Words are powerful.
I think that's changed. The narrative has changed over the years. People are actually acknowledging that words do hurt now. I think it's because just of all the things that people have dealt with because of words, because of the power of words and that kind of thing.
Yeah, with social media.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of social media is so wildly popular right now. A lot of different apps. But at the same time, there's a lot of... Speaking of words being powerful, right? So we're watching Mandalorian. And I don't know if I'm giving a spoiler. If you haven't seen it yet, if you don't want a spoiler, click off now or fast forward about 20 seconds or so. So I'm going to give a quick spoiler of some sort. So Jar Jar, right?
Yes.
The Ahmad Best that plays Jar Jar, he showed up in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was received well by the fans, his character and the actor. But if you go back, to the Phantom Menace of Star Wars years ago. He played Jar Jar, the same actor. And he took so much flack by fans, so much. And they're people's words.
Yeah.
What I did not know, I didn't know this. Maybe a lot of people didn't know this. He got so depressed.
Oh.
He even became suicidal.
Oh.
Because of people's words.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying with this social media whole platform thing, even where, YouTube right here. People's words. They're for one, keep them to yourself. Don't go posting them out there because they do impact. They have an impact on people.
Or if you do post, I think that it's also important to know that while words can hurt, it doesn't always necessarily lead. People are already struggling with those kinds of things. Words just tend to help be a catalyst in it. So I just want to clarify that just because you say something bad to someone doesn't mean that they're going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
But I would say
what it does is it makes it.
It doesn't help.
Yeah,
We'll just
it
say
doesn't
that.
help.
And also I think too is just when you're putting words in social media and like on those sites, they're not just they're going to be staying there for a while. They'll linger even after the fact. And so I think it's really important to really think before you write something or reply or do anything, and really think about if the words are edifying, if they're actually helpful or hurtful. And if you do that, that's a little different. And then your words can be, you're supposed to season your words with grace. And so I think that's really important, is to really measure what you speak. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And there's two sides to it, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess we're talking the tongue.
Yes. Yeah.
The tongue, or what comes out of our mouth, or more so, our words.
Yes.
But in the Bible, it refers lots of times to the tongue.
Yes.
And how powerful the tongue is.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what we're saying. And it goes both ways, right? There's good and bad. What comes out of your mouth can have a real positive effect.
Yeah, or a negative
real
one.
Negative. Mm-hmm. So.
What are you going to do? There's a lot of places as well in the Bible that talks about, especially James. James has a lot to say about the tongue. Just talking normal in general, we can use our words to, we can uplift people, encouragement. That's kind of a big thing that we try to do on here, is to encourage people. And that encouragement can take many different forms. It can be in the words, it can be in your actions. But words are so powerful. Wars have been started and stopped by words, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say, words can
communication,
make war or
right?
make peace. And not just across worldly or the country, but within families, friends and family.
Yes.
Words, man.
Unity or division.
Everybody knows. They've been there.
Yeah.
Right.
When I was in school, in one of I had a debate class that I took, and we had to do a lot of studies of the past wars. And one of the main things that they focused on was that communication, or a lack of communication, is a lot of what kind of helped some of these wars along, was because people didn't know how to communicate correctly. And so a lot of the time we use our actions to speak, which, that's fine, except for when we're not thinking and deliberating, and we just go on emotion, and then things explode in our face because we don't know how to control our tongues. And then there's all these fights. And, you guys have seen, well, I don't know if y'all have seen, but there are old shows that used to come on where they're all brawling and fighting and tossing words around like it was nothing. And
they still do that.
Yeah. And that's, those things can hurt.
And that has, we're not going to talk influence today, but those TV shows, they have a strong influence on people.
Oh yeah.
You watch this stuff, and that's tends to be how you begin to act,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
We've talked before on the one where the crowd you hang around with, the people you hang around with, you start talking the same, you start acting the same, like best friends or whatever. But it does rub off. And
yeah. And what words are you saying and using, and those kinds of things.
The whole, going back to that whole sticks and stones, that it doesn't affect people. I talked about baloney before.
Yeah.
That is a line of baloney. And not just any kind of baloney, but that kind with the red plastic.
Oh, around the edge?
Around the edge?
You mean the casing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the worst of the worst.
You're not supposed to eat that, I don't think.
No, I never said to eat that. I was saying that quality.
I don't know, why is it worse? I was like, if you're eating it, yeah, it would be pretty bad.
No, don't eat that. because then other stuff will be coming out of your mouth.
See, geese might eat that.
So speaking of James, you were talking about James, the book of James.
Yeah.
And I have some of my favorite examples are in there, some of my favorite readings. But he does paint a picture
Yeah.
of how powerful the tongue is. And so like the bits in the horse's mouth,
Yeah.
you can make it move left or right, big animal. But then when he refers to a ship, like big massive ships, cruise ships, they got a small rudder,
Yeah.
right? Very small rudder. And the I was gonna say pilot. Who drives it? Who controls it? The captain
of the ship.
So the captain of the ship can turn that entire thing left or right, a huge ship just off of a little rudder.
Yeah.
And then he says one more thing. Well, he says more than one thing. But how small the tongue is. So like a small flame can kindle an entire forest fire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You know, you go camping and
a spark, actually.
Just a little spark.
Yeah.
And then there you go, like a huge forest fire, you know. How, you know, we've seen them on TV, big old forest fires. And they smart.
Well, they do smart, especially if you're caught in one. But
they start from something so small.
Yeah.
And words are powerful.
Yeah, and like James had talked about how the tongue can be evil, but also if you look in Proverbs, it talks about how it can be a gentle tongue is like life, it's life-giving, right? But a perverse tongue is one that can bring all kinds of horrible things.
Oh yeah, I read that one.
Yeah, and I really like that because I think, you know, we think of the tongue as some kind of object. It's actually animate. It moves, you know, clearly. But it has a lot, like you said, power behind it. And, you know, the right power, the right tool in the right hands can do a lot of good, but it can also do a lot of bad. And so that's why we have to be so careful with our words sometimes. Because, and as a talker, that's one thing it actually talks about in there is like, it's better if you're like, you don't say as much because then you'll even look wise.
Well, there are other verses out there that being...
and I'm a talker, so that's hard.
You know, the Bible also does talk about being slow to speak.
Yeah.
You know, quick to listen. Listen, think about your words, what's going to come out. Be slow to speak.
And slow to anger, which is kind of funny, that whole juxtaposition between the two.
When you get angry,
you start spewing all kinds of fun things.
It just comes out. Right? Boom, boom, boom. And then how many times have people said, well, you know, regretted what they said. You know, I said that. Maybe I shouldn't have. I was angry.
Usually we shouldn't have said whatever we came out with anger. But yeah.
So I guess if you could learn to control anger, that's half the battle right there.
Yeah.
Of controlling your mouth.
Yeah. It still doesn't stop the thoughts going through your head, though. Yeah. That's another thing.
Yeah, and I was going to say that about the thoughts. So this goes beyond just the words.
Oh yeah.
So when I was talking about like social media, and it's like a under the radar kind of bullying. Social media, or it happens in social media platforms.
It's passive aggressive is what I would say. Another thing I learned in school was talking about the different types of aggression. And in social media, a lot of that, like you talked about bullying, it's very passive aggressive. You know, we see the screen, we see faceless people, you know, and we just think we can say whatever we want because it's not going to hurt anyone. But that's totally not the case. And if any of you guys have heard the stories of bullying and things that happen via social media, you know, words again do matter, and it's, you know, there are people sitting behind those screens.
Yeah, you got to realize someone on the other end is actually reading this.
Yes.
Whoever it's addressed to.
Yeah,
they're reading this.
Yeah.
And it's all over the place. So what I was trying to say is, these are things we type, things we say, and I said earlier, you know, when I was talking about Jar Jar. Yeah. Good old Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Speaking, he has a long tongue. You see his tongue in the movie?
We have some interesting opinions on Jar Jar, but we also have to think of the people behind it.
Okay, so let's talk about this real quick.
Oh dear.
I'm not a fan of Jar Jar. I'm not.
Yeah.
But that's the character.
That's the writer's fault. It's not anything to do with the actor. But you know what I mean?
But I have nothing against the actor.
Oh yeah.
That portrayed him.
Yeah.
It's not his fault.
Yeah, he did a good job at whatever it was that he was supposed to do. Yeah.
But, you know, we got to see it that way. But there's so much of this that goes on in, like, if we're talking movies and TV shows, that there's a lot of characters that are hated. and then people post
Yeah.
negative stuff about them.
They target the
But
person
they
instead
target
of
the person
instead
not
of
the character.
Yeah, or how it was
And
written.
even if it's the character, that's probably not a good thing to maybe bash either.
Mm-hmm.
And to,
I got to learn on that one.
Mm-hmm. I just said I'm not a fan of Jar Jar,
Yeah.
but there's
Oh yeah.
a way of doing it,
Yes.
and not overstepping the boundary.
Yeah.
Because even though you're just okay, now I'm just talking about the character. I'm not really talking about the actor, or just the character.
They're just
but
objects,
you got to
but
understand
they're really people.
that actor plays that character, so it's still affecting them.
Yeah,
they're like,
because
okay,
they're putting themselves in that
you know,
role.
the actor
and
might
it's
be
big.
the actor may be saying, well, you're not talking about me, but you're talking about the character I played. I didn't play him well. Then it's on me. You know,
Again,
it's still going to affect
it's also
them.
evaluating the words and the weight of it.
So what you were saying about thoughts,
yeah,
maybe we should think about our
what's coming out?
not just because what is in the head, what's in the mind,
What's in the
and
heart.
what's in the heart comes out the mouth.
Yeah.
So if you can try to tame these, this will be a little cleaner,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and actually, the Bible says that you can't. It says something about
Well,
not taming the tongue.
Because I said, what I say, if you can try to,
Yes.
or I don't know, manage.
But that's
Tell us what to do.
Oh,
in
okay.
that
Yes,
case.
exactly. So here's the cool thing about, so instead of feeling helpless with how the tongue tends to just want to, our thoughts mainly, it's our hearts, our thoughts coming out. We just want to fling words around, and we can be careless and reckless with our words because of what's on our heart and our minds. Instead of doing that, what's so awesome about like knowing and getting into the meat of this, the Holy Spirit is like a big deal, right? Because for people that know Christ and who he is, there's this awesome helper guy that comes and helps and kind of takes residence in us, right? And that helps us to control our tongue. Because I will tell you, there have been many times where what I wanted to say and how I wanted to respond, thankfully, did not come out of my mouth, and it had nothing to do with me and everything to do with God tempering what I was going to say. The Holy Spirit, like saying, "Nope, that's not," and then something totally different came out of my mouth, which I was like, "Oh wow, that was so nice," and I don't know where it came from, but. And so that's what's so cool about when you fill yourself up with good things, holy things, happy things, that you're storing all that stuff in your heart and your mind, then that tends to be what ends up coming out,
Yeah.
And because if we're filling ourselves up with, gossip and we're, like just, hateful words and perverse thoughts and abusive things that, only serve to hurt people, then that's what's going to come out of our mouths, right? That's what's going to come out. That's in our actions and in our words. But if we're filling up with things that talk about like being loving to each other and being patient with each other, all the things, the fruits of the Spirit, like, gentleness, like that stuff is going to come out if we are like filling up on that and trying to kind of push away those other negative things, because what's in our heart is what ends up coming out of our mouths.
Yeah. You should have your own show. I'm like, because you have like long segments here.
I talk a lot, you guys.
No, it's not that. It's
I'm just
what
teasing.
you're saying is good. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we need to do like a split screen here and just get me off the screen for a second.
No, you
But
have all the
you know what I mean? Because I'm just staring.
I like your bologna analogy.
'Cause
That was pretty cool.
I'm just staring here. But no.
He's staring at me, you guys. That's a good sign. We've been married for a while, so that's a plus. But I want to tell one real quick story.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to know that I was going to tell this story, but I think it's very pertinent to what we're talking about. One of the things that I really appreciated about you was that you, before in time when I was filling myself up with a lot of the negative things and the bad things, is when I met you. And you guys, what he did was he showed me how I need to speak and how I need to act and how I need to be respectful, not just to him, but to kind of myself in a way. And so by what your actions did is you said, no, you don't need to be talking like that, but not in that way. You were totally kind about it. But it showed me the character that he had inside. And it also took me aback, and I'm like, oh, wow, all this stuff that I've been doing and saying is only looking and reflecting bad on me. And I don't want to do that anymore. And that was one of the things that made me like just want to be with you more, was because you actually, respected me enough to tell me, hey, maybe you shouldn't be saying this kind of stuff because you're kind of disrespecting yourself. And I really appreciated that. And so for me, like knowing that kind of perversity and things that were coming out of my mouth was impacting people around me, and actually having someone come and tell me, hey, that's kind of not great.
And I'm
It
surprised that came from me though, because I was not always, a role model. I wasn't I don't know,
You struggle just like everybody else. And we
Yeah.
all do. I mean, I had many moments where I was like
Yeah,
that. I had
and
good times and bad times. We both kept ourselves in check, I think.
I guess I was being pretty bold because we had just met.
Yes. When we first met, you had read something I'd written and you knew where I was
I
at.
knew that wasn't you.
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't you. And
It wasn't the one that
again,
had
it could be
met in the
the
first
company
place.
you were around. When you're around certain people for so long, it's just who you become.
Yeah, and plus,
I don't know if you felt that's what people wanted. That's what was the cool thing, or
yeah, probably a mix of all of those things. And plus, it's hard because, like you said, I do love words. Like words are a thing with me. I'm a writer, that type of thing. And so I was using that. I was using those words. We tend to, again, we can be reckless with our words just to get some kind of response from people. Thinking it's a positive, but a lot of the time the response is negative. It's not good. And we just want to get a laugh or a chuckle or a high five, right, from people. But then, whatever that is that's coming out of our mouth, we really have to look and say, hey, would I say these same things in front of my children? Would I say these same things in front of the people that I really, really care about and truly that know who I am?
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's and we're guilty parties of that. I know I am. That at least I used to be. Not so much now. I'm really trying, but to be totally two different people. In front of friends, you're one way. You're speaking one way.
Yeah.
And then around your family,
Yeah.
you're speaking another way.
Yeah.
And I really try to be the same person no matter where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. You want to, because
whether someone is seeing me or not.
we're acting like we're literally in front of an audience all the time, as in, like, one that we want to see us a certain way, as in honorable and, good. And honestly, like what both you and I think and believe is that we're always in front of God. And so it's not like, we can just turn it off and be like, God can't see inside our heart, so we can think and say whatever we want. No, sorry guys, it doesn't work that way. If you do believe in God and that he does see everything, he doesn't just disappear when we say something, that's less than edifying. He doesn't just go away. He's always there. And so if you can't say that in front of a holy God, then why are you saying it in front of people that you care about?
But it's when he's always there. When you say that, it's just let people know. It's not in a way where, well, you're just invading my privacy.
Oh, yeah.
You got these hidden cameras
Oh,
all
no.
over my house kind of thing. Like, just let me be. It's not like that.
It's like a loving father.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Yeah, a friend.
Yeah.
Somebody that even when you mess up, because we're
Like
going to mess
so
up.
when you don't act a certain way in front of your parents,
Yeah.
and we're speaking father, right? You do it because out of respect, and you do it because you strive to be a certain way, and they want you to be a certain way, and you should be a certain
And
way.
you might feel the pull to be a certain way, for sure.
Yeah, it's not in a way of invading your privacy kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's hey, it's a good thing. Puts you in check. You're like, hey,
Respect thing.
you know what? I
Honoring
need
thing.
to be careful
Yeah.
of what I'm doing and saying.
Yeah, and so that's like the thing with God in general is it's like talking to what words are coming out of our mouth and our hearts. We know that God already sees. The good news is that God is forgiving, and that when we struggle and we stumble, because we're going to slip up, that's the
'Cause we're
crazy,
not
because
perfect.
we're not perfect. So we're going to say some dumb things. That's just kind of the way it is. But see, like for you and I both, we always know that in our hearts that God will use whatever mistakes we made for his glory. So that's the good thing about when you know who he is, you can be totally yourself with him, but at the same time, he'll see you, but you're going to be starting to imitate him and imitate a perfect God as best as you can. We'll still stumble, but he's the father that loves us no matter what. So whatever comes out of our mouth and our thoughts, he's still going to be there and be like, you know what? I see that you're going through and doing some dumb things, but guess what? I still love you. And that's always reassuring.
Yeah, speaking of what we were just saying about being two different ways, whether someone's watching you or not. Just one more quick verse in James, a little further down in what we were reading about the ship and the rudder and whatnot. He says, out of the same mouth proceeds blessings and cursings. So you got these the mouth's, I don't know,
Yeah.
poison and healing.
Yeah, and then that's actually in James, it actually goes in, and I actually had that written down. It talked about how can we be doing praise at one moment and then cursing the other, and that could be just like talking bad about somebody or whatever. It doesn't compute because you can't have both in the same way. It's very two-faced, I guess you would say. And so it's like a fig tree producing some other type of fruit that it never would produce, or a grape tree producing a fig fruit or grapevine.
Yeah, and that just makes me think, or are you being authentic when you speak nice to someone and then over here you're honking at this other person because they didn't use their blinker correctly? What?
Nothing. I'm biting my tongue.
Old joke.
Do you like that?
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just playing, but I'm trying to make a point. Like, what's really coming from in here?
Yeah, because we're really good at hiding things.
Yeah.
A sad thing is, or actually the truthful thing is, we really aren't that great at hiding things, at least from the people that really matter. And so, yeah, it's definitely what is inside. Because we can say we're all great and dandy, but whatever's coming out of our mouth in whatever aspect or in our thoughts, I mean, it's a big tell-all, you know what I mean?
Well, speaking of hiding things, let's hide our faces and we'll get out of here.
Quickly, yes.
Yeah.
So
I can't believe you told them our little story there.
I did.
Really, what do you call that? Really
authentic? I'm hoping that was authentic.
You were open.
Yeah. I was vulnerable. It was kind of freaky.
But we're still on camera, so let's...
oh, yeah. I forgot for a second.
Why don't you take us out with some words of wisdom?
Okay. Words of wisdom. This is found in Luke 6:45. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart. And an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Thanks for watching. If you like this show, hit that free subscribe button and share this video. We are on Facebook and Instagram. Also, check out our full-length podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. The links are provided in the description below. Thank you.